We're live. Yes.
Yay!
Hello. Welcome everybody to this is what episode is this, Elon? I didn't look at the
There's
thumbnail.
25.
Episode 25 of the Eyes and Ears. Yes, you're correct. Episode 25 of the Eyes and Ears podcast / live stream. And yeah, we're here. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun week. We're gonna talk about some streaming audio. And those of you in the comments who haven't sounded out yet, do it. But no, let us know what you prefer to stream your audio on. If you're into critical two-channel listening, if you're just more of kind of a casual listener, what you chose and why. We'll be talking about our experiences using the different platforms in this video. Wow, I've been in video
Well, it
mode.
is technically.
Technically, it's a video. Yeah, I've been in video mode recording some tutorials for all you people watching out there.
Yay!
So yeah, I'm there with the video Brad. But yeah, we're gonna have a cool conversation. But before we do, I feel like it almost like I was gonna go into a sponsored segment there. But before we do, and then you cut to something. No, I want to ask Elon, how the hell are you? What's been going on?
I'm okay. Dealing with
Sweet.
some upper back issues, but that's neither here nor there. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of what happens sometimes when you're in your 40s. It's super cool. Getting older is cool. Super fun. Yeah. So I'm still doing the short form content for EQ on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts every once in a while. So yeah, check that out if you haven't already. Follow me on Instagram at Elon Osborne. I'm putting together some pretty fun, sometimes wacky shorts. Um, it's just a different format altogether. So I'm liking the creative process with that. But I mean, also since I'm collaborating with Acoustics, they have a few new articles that they post on their website every day. So if you want to keep up on just random news in the audio world too, that's another reason to follow. Like today I made a short film or a short reel, just using a clip from I Think You Should Leave on Netflix, that sketch show.
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about the new Macintosh subwoofer that just dropped, a Class D subwoofer, 1,000 watts, $35,000, which happens to be the smaller, less expensive version of the other one that's already been out. That's $50,000. So,
Whoa.
oh,
Wow.
Macintosh, you never cease to amaze me with your prices.
That's yeah, yeah, man, this stuff can get expensive, as everybody watching knows. This stuff, it just
Yeah.
there's kind of like there's a limitless amount of money that you can spend on stuff. I know my buddy Taurus, who's been on this before,
Mhm.
he has like I feel I feel like he's got a subwoofer buying addiction right now because he just keeps buying and adding subs. He's up to 18 in his theater now. Like 18 subs.
What?
18. So he's got 16. Wait, hold on. Maybe it's 20. Maybe he's up to 20.
Come
I don't know. Okay,
on.
so he's got 16 architectural triad subs. They're like in walls, right? So
Yeah.
he started with 6 total. So 2 up front, 2 in the ceiling, 2 in the rear.
Yeah.
Can't remember how large his room is. It's fairly large. But then he like happened upon a great deal on some other ones and just said, you know
Mhm.
what, screw it. Like, I can't pass up this deal. I'll just buy them and install them. Well, then
Dude.
he started here, which I understand, right? You come across a deal, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, he started talking to people, and then they're like, you should really look at buying some subs to really accentuate the bottom end, because those triad subs only go down to like 20. And so he has
Only.
only, right? He wants to know what's down there. And yeah. So he bought a couple of PB or SB16 Ultras on on their deal, and then
Oh yeah.
he just said, "Well, what about the new 17s?" So he bought 2 of those. So now he's got 4 external subs and then like 16. So yeah, he's up to 20. And all I could think of is that's a calibration nightmare.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
granted, the in wall triads are all pairs, so you can only adjust them per pair, but they're
Oh.
the way, yeah. But I'm just like, you're not. Wow. Yeah, I was just like, you know, I have 4 in this small room of mine, 11 by 12, and that's kind of overkill for most people. But I don't have
Mhm.
it like I don't have the room for like 6. I have thought about, just because I have subwoofers lying around, just for the hell of it, trying it.
Right.
But yeah, I what am I gonna add? More headroom? I don't even crank it, right? Like
Yeah.
more more even bass across the listening area. I have 2 seats. Like
Right.
what really am I gonna benefit from it? Other than saying, hey, I did it and it works. Um, but yeah, anyway, that's neither here nor there either.
Wow. Because
Yeah,
doesn't he have an Anthem
yeah,
processor?
right. But he's going through something. He's going through like a DSP. So he's going through
Sure.
an Ashley Protea, which isn't like a mini DSP. He has a crazy amount. Like he can basically, um, everything is going into these, and he can
Mhm.
assign whatever he wants to whatever output. So if he wants, I think so, like 16 subwoofers, he needs the 8 outputs.
Yeah.
So he can assign all 8 outputs just based on that single input, which is cool. That's but
Yeah.
these Proteas, I think he spent around 5 or 6 on those total. So he's got a lot of money
Jeez.
invested.
The only reason I can justify that many subwoofers is if I had a Trin off and I'm doing the whole waveforming thing. So
Mhm,
you've got,
mhm,
a bunch up front and a bunch behind that are
right.
canceling out stuff. But just that many just because?
Yeah. Yeah,
Woo.
I mean, you know what? I think it's crazy, but
Does he have a lot of seats in his theater?
uh I can't remember. I know he has at least 8. He might have 12.
Hmm, okay.
So maybe the evenness, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Say hi to some people real quick. Joel is here. Joel Gonzalez, welcome, welcome. Scott
Hello, Joel.
Woodford is here, and he says he likes Qobuz and Amazon Music. Awesome. I heard Qobuz
Hey.
at a lot at Florida Audio Expo. I can't
Oh,
remember
yeah.
what Audio Advice Live used, but it might have been just straight streaming from
Mhm.
like a phone or something. Kevin is here. Welcome, Kevin. And no need to apologize, Kevin, ever. Show up
Yeah.
and leave whenever you want. Whenever you
The
want.
beauty of live streams.
Right? Raphael is here. 35 or 50 for a sub. That's expensive, and they're stupid. There's expensive and there's stupid expensive. Yes, 100%
I
agree.
agree.
I think that applies to speakers too. I don't think I'm just gonna say something right now that's gonna maybe ruffle some feathers, and I don't care. 40 grand for a pair of speakers is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like
Mhm.
that's I may or may not have gotten an opportunity to check out some of the latest Focal speakers, and I said no, because I don't want to be responsible for those, and I really I don't know if I have a desire to go to that kind of. I'm not interested in that, I guess.
Mhm.
And I don't know that my particular audience is, and I think that's what we see with certain content creators. I'm not naming names, but like they start kind of in the mid to low, and then they eventually like just start covering high end stuff, and I'm just like, that doesn't really interest me, and it
Yeah.
never really has. Like going to CD and stuff and seeing these like, that $1 million Trinov room with like it had like Macintosh stuff, and I was just like, I don't care. Like that's just that what I heard. I didn't hear $1 million or whatever. Like
Mhm.
like what can I get for an affordable price.
Yeah.
So, yes, hopefully that'll ruffle some feathers. I don't care. Kevin says, with all that gear in his room, I have a 15 kilowatt generator for sale. We should have him on again, because I think that would be a conversation, maybe even an intervention.
Right.
Or I think you have a problem. We'll see if we can get him on one day and talk about it. Let's see. Jeffrey is here. Jeffrey Fry. Welcome, Jeffrey. He mentioned
Hello.
something about obsessive compulsive audiophile's latest Nexus calibration. I have not tried that. I haven't tried any of his more recent stuff. I've been kind of, like I kind of got into doing my own multi-QX thing, and just kind of experimenting with that, trying to find what I like the most. And I think like what I like about his stuff is it can be kind of hard to follow, because it's like for some people that maybe aren't as technically inclined, but a lot of it I think he writes his own script, like his own it's HTML script or whatnot. I don't know the technical name for it. But yeah, like you put the stuff in. The thing that I have an issue, or not an issue with, but like he mostly uses the Odyssey MultiQ app and not MultiQX. And I don't know if there's a way, again, apologies, I haven't looked into it that much, but I don't know if there's a way you could import that stuff into MultiQX. JavaScript, hey, that's what it is. JavaScript. Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna blame the COVID brain fog. But yeah, I mean, the crazy thing is, and Jeffrey mentioned this too, definitely a big hard to follow and multiple hundreds of pages of AVS forum responses sifting through bugs and latest updates. Yeah, it doesn't help that AVS forum is laid out like a website from 1999.
I know, right?
Like, how do I get to this? But yeah, I think it can be like great for some people, and others, like I want to do everything manually, and other people don't want to do that. I completely understand that. And going through like Rumi QWizard, it's gotten easier and easier. But my point is, we're using this is something that OCA has put out there for free, right? You're not paying anything. You could probably send them some donations if you want to, but like to have something like this for free is crazy. I mean, to have like Rumi QWizard for free is crazy. Like to have this kind of software, and it just keeps getting better and better over time. As it should. And then let's see here. So yeah, I've real quick before we really dive in. I've been working on I've been practicing these multi-QX tutorials every day. And mini DSP, because I'm kind of rusty, and I want to make sure that when I hit record, I'm not spending a lot of time where I have to like edit a ton of stuff out. So just been trying to run through that. Also playing around with different like I think we've talked about it before. I used to I was doing like multi-QX calibrations manually, and I would do like 11 points or 8 points, and then cross correlation align though. Yeah. So I've kind of gone down to 3. I feel like since I only have 3, I haven't noticed a massive difference. I actually did before and after measurements of like my 11 point and then my 3 point. And the average measurement was like within like a 1 dB. So
no need.
Right. This is actually a good question. So the problem I have is I have 2 cameras and a screen recording. So I need to show the screen, like the actual screen, because the receiver I have doesn't support like a web interface, like a web GUI. So I have to record the screen. Then I have my face. I know I don't have to, but I like to have that, and then the screen recording. So I'm either going to use Ecamm Live. I may use I need to test some different things out. I may use OBS and just like manually record one camera. And then I have the problem with like my camera overheating if I'm recording. If I'm just using it like this, which I am now, I don't have that problem. Like it can just go forever.
Yeah.
So yeah. Well, I'm testing some things out. I'm also checking out Camtasia, but it has its own file format, and I'd have to like export it out as like a MP4 and MOV, and bring it into my editor that way. And yeah, yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely using Final Cut. I'm not going to use anything else. So yeah, we'll
put it all together. Yeah.
yeah, I can do like basically side by side recordings in OBS, so I can do like my 4K video on one side and my 4K screen cap on the other, and then just go. I don't know why I did that, but then basically crop. Yeah, I've been working on that. We've been watching some movies, like horror movies. Spooky movies. So we did watch Twisters as well, on 4K Blu-ray. The new.
Oh yeah. I heard it was good, or at least just like good old fashioned popcorn blockbuster summer movie.
It is, but I'll be honest, the audio didn't really do much for me.
Oh no!
Yeah, the first Twister, the remix, is way better than what we got here. Like it just didn't. There wasn't a whole lot of like stuff going on, surprisingly. Yeah.
Even with the detail of the theatric speakers.
Yeah, I mean, no, it sounded good. Don't get me wrong, but what I mean is, there was a lot of stuff kind of happening over here, but not a lot up here. There wasn't a whole lot of Atmos stuff. And I replayed some scenes afterwards and just shut off the ear level speakers. And yeah, there was a few little like, things, but I was just like, huh.
Lame.
Yeah.
Such as modern mixes. I don't understand.
Yeah. I mean, there's some crazy ones out there. Like the first, we watched the first Insidious movie on 4K, and the Atmos track on that it still wasn't as active as I would have liked, but it's also a movie from 2011. So, I don't know if they did a remix of that or whatnot. But yeah, we've been going through the Insidious movies. We're on the last key now. I'd only seen the first one. I've never seen anything past that. And they're honestly, like the first one, they're so cheesy. They're like, some of the acting is just like, who wrote this? Like, is this a college script?
Yeah.
But yeah, we've been going through that. We've we watched Rings of Power season 2, which had a better Atmos mix than Twisters.
What?
Oh, I was just talking to a friend about Sinister, it being one of the more modern movies that actually scared me.
Yeah.
Like actually like was super spooky. I have a problem where a lot of them these days they're kind of like but Sinister.
Yeah. They can get they get formulaic.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I can't stand it when there are fake jump scares. Where a cat jumps out or something, or like, they're building tension.
Yes.
And then boom, a jump scare. And it's just like somebody else like coming up from behind them and like, oh, I didn't see you there. It's like,
yeah.
Cause then you get that, real loud like jolt where like the music is like, bah! It's like,
yeah,
I can't stand that. It's like, give me an actual jump scare, please. None of this fake bullshit.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I actually finished just now, today, the Alan Wake 2 DLC, The Lake House. And there are plenty of jump scares in that. More than I would care to admit. and I don't really like jump scares. I don't really react to most of the time, unless it's just because I can normally, there's always that tell where the audio kind of gets sucked out before it happens. Everything goes quiet. Yeah. I'm like, all right. Whereas this is
emphasize it.
Yeah. There were quite a few. This was scarier than the actual game, which was Like yeah, there was some parts. So if any of you guys are Alan Wake fans or like the second one, highly recommend the Lake House. Also the audio on the Alan Wake games are amazing. Well, the second one, amazing. Great
Nice.
great Dolby Atmos mix too. When you're going down a hall and you can hear like the lights come on above you and like it's just
Oh yeah.
Oh dude, it's so cool. I love it. I
Nice.
love it. Yeah, just before we get started, general questions or just a question. Just put a Q. Doesn't have to be a general. Just could be any question that you have. It just helps us see it. I don't know why I took it away. It helps us see it and mark it, star it. I'm gonna try to like. There's some questions that were asked already. I'm gonna try to star those if you haven't already. So, and then secondly, not required at all, but feel free to hit us up with a super chat or super sticker if you want to. Just a way for you to show additional support to the channel. But we just appreciate you guys being here. So yeah.
We think you're super if you do it.
Yes, and we will be your best friend. Not contractually obligated or anything, but yes. I was like, home theater guy, who's that's me. You know, I do still get mistaken for home theater gurus.
Huh.
Which I think is great because that guy, like Steven is a friend of mine and he's ripped. He's in really great shape. And I'm like, well, thank you. Because I am not currently in really great shape. We're working on it. Oh, Kevin, you didn't have to do that.
Kevin.
Oh man. Kevin, I had a feeling. That when I said that, I was like, Kevin did it last week. Kevin did it last week. Also,
I got a feeling.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kevin. We really appreciate it. It definitely helps. Definitely helps us. Also, really, really quick. Next week, we are going to be doing a pre-recorded live stream. We'll be doing it Thursday, right? We've decided on this. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll be
Halloween.
It'll be Halloween night. It'll be live. We'll be in the comments, but because of it being Halloween, I know Elon wants to go out trick-or-treating with his kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Because he really he dresses up as a kid and wants the candy as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're gonna be doing that. And we're gonna be talking about scary movies and just scary games and stuff. And you know, we'll sprinkle in home theater stuff in there too, but we'll just be talking about some of our favorite experiences. Yeah. Just want to highlight this again. Thank you again, Kevin. Tuition accepted. You're in the College of Home Theater here. So yeah. Hey, look at that. Look at that. 23 minutes in, we're finally getting to the actual topic. Yeah, so basically Elon and I were talking about what to talk about this week, and I recently got a $2 membership to Tidal. Never used Tidal before. It was like a 60-day membership for $2. I'm like, oh, $2, whatever. I use Spotify for all of my music listening, and I don't really do any critical listening. That's the main thing. I'm not someone who sits in their theater room. I don't have a hi-fi affinity or anything like that where I love hi-fi, I love all this stuff. So I wasn't really focused on like, okay, I want the absolute best quality, right? I don't like, honestly, the stuff with Spotify when I'm working out, when I'm in the car, whatever, is perfectly serviceable to me. I have everything that I basically want. If I don't, I can go to, you know, like YouTube or something and find a track. But yeah, it works for me. And I've started telling Ian, I'm like,
do you have a lot of playlists and stuff on Spotify?
Yeah. And I have a lot of friends that also have Spotify. So we have like playlists, like we'll share together. And like we have one that's just like metal. Like I don't remember what it's called, but it's like just metal. Like it's just like not even like glam metal. It's like the hardest shit that we've heard recently, right? Like it's like we can't even understand what they're saying. Like the lyrics that we don't know. But you know, it could be gent, it could be like death metal, it could whatever. But we have a lot of those, and also my wife and I, like, we have like the premium duo Spotify membership. So she has her own thing. I have my own thing.
Mhm.
And so it's great. But I was like, well, I should probably like check out like some, title stuff just for like streaming. Cause I know, I don't know if you guys are the same. I don't have a lot of CDs just lying around anymore. Like, I have a lot of physical Blu-rays and physical 4K Blu-rays and stuff like that, but I don't have just CDs. Like, I don't have my folder that I used to like drive around with and be like, oh,
Right.
what am I gonna put on here? Um, so I was like, I left my Cranberry CD in the lunchroom, but if you can name the movie, sound off in the comments. But I was like, well,
Wasn't that Clueless?
yes, yeah, my foot hurts. Can I go to the nurse? But so I was like, oh, I need to check this out because I've been to these shows and I hear like the audio, like the lossless audio quality and title that's always been kind of their big thing, right? Like they were the first
Mhm.
to kind of offer high quality audio over streaming, and uh, so I was like, okay, well let me check it out, and immediately on the phone app, I was like, this feels like a step backwards over Spotify. It's serviceable, but I'm like, I wouldn't use this over Spotify on my phone. I'm
Yeah.
not getting Dolby Atmos and all that stuff, which is also one of their selling points. High resolution audio, Dolby Atmos mixes, that
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I was like, oh man, well, um, okay, how can I get this onto my receiver? So I had to
Mhm.
use I have a Denon receiver. I had to use I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'd use Hios on my Denon receiver and then go through that. And then after there was a recent update that now, I don't know if I would say recent, but within the past 6 months, maybe a year, there was an update on the receiver that allowed you to directly stream to your Denon from the app, the title
Hmm.
app. Before you had to go through Hios. So you had to go through Hios, which has an even more limited interface on your phone through
Yeah.
title. Yeah, so it was just like there was already like this kind of friction getting the music
Mhm.
that I wanted to listen to playing on my receiver. And
Yeah.
there should never be that friction when it comes to this stuff. That's my opinion. So I was already experiencing it. And then guess what? Over like my Wi-Fi, or not my Wi-Fi, my like direct to my receiver, zero Atmos support. I can get FLAC or the lossless audio up to like 192 kilohertz,
Mhm.
perfectly fine. But I can't do Dolby Atmos streaming over my network. I have to use a device like I think the NVIDIA Shield will do it. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have the NVIDIA Shield hooked up right now. I kind of took it out of my system when I got the Arvolution. And then
Mhm.
I was like, okay, well, I'll just use my PC. Nope, not getting Dolby Atmos on your PC through Tidal. So
Oh
you
my
can't even
god,
use
dude.
that, which is the PC is like one of the most widely adopted platforms. And you can't get it. So already
Yeah.
I'm like, there's so much friction with Tidal. I will not be keeping it after the 60 days. So
Mhm.
finally I was like, well, how can I get it? And it's through my TV app on my LG C1 OLED. So I like download the app, and oh my god, there's a couple things that Dolby Atmos did work, but finding music through the app or on the TV is ridiculous. Finding Dolby Atmos music through the app on the phone is also ridiculous. Like there's no
Oh,
good
no.
way to get like Dolby Atmos spatial audio music.
Yeah.
I do like that on the
Is
app it
is
it will
there like a playlist of only Dolby Atmos music kinda thing?
yeah, but they've only limited it to like top 50, and then like they have like a bunch of sections, so it's like pop and then metal and then all this stuff. But
Yeah.
whoever is like putting the songs in here, I'm like, that's not metal. Like I don't what are you talking like that's not metal. Like that's no longer metal. Like what is this like like yeah, I'm like this is what's going on here. So I finally got Dolby Atmos to work. And what's weird is like even when you go on the TV app and search for like like say, like I know like the Metallica 72 Seasons album is in Dolby Atmos on Tidal. I know that, but it doesn't show up until you select either the album itself, and then within the album there's like another link that says Dolby Atmos, right? And then you have to go through that. So you're clicking like 2, 3, 4 times, or you find a single that's Dolby Atmos. And then I was like, okay, well, I created a playlist on my phone thinking, oh, well, if I find a song on the app, I can just add it to the playlist. Nope. You can hard it, but you can't add it to a playlist on the TV app. So anyway, long story short,
Jeez, dude.
if all you care about is like lossless audio, you don't really care about Dolby Atmos, and you could deal with like all the shortcomings. Tidal it can maybe be a good option for you. I personally don't think it's whoever they really need to do some revamping over, I've never used Qobuz, so I don't know if that's like, I think is that how you say it? Qobuz?
Yeah, Qobuz.
I had better experience, and yeah, when I was using my Apple 4K TV, and I had Apple Music, that to me, like, I know it's not it's lossy Dolby Atmos, so it's not lossless. However, the experience using that was leaps and bounds ahead of what's on Tidal.
Right.
Plus, I could use my phone to make playlists. I can also see what's Dolby Atmos on my phone on Apple Music. I mean, I have an iPhone, but I could also use my laptop or my computer if I have the Apple Music app. So there needs to be this kind of like cohesion between all cohesion.
Sure.
Sure. There needs to just be like a common thread between, like, if you have Tidal on your phone and Tidal on your TV and then Tidal on your iPad, they should all kind of act as one. That's how Spotify works. That's how Apple Music works. That's how a bunch of these services work. So why can't Tidal operate that way? I don't know if I don't know if the code base has just been updated since they released it. They may have kind of, patched some things. Now, what I can say, and I will agree with Joel, what I've heard on Tidal sounds really, really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Even the Dolby Atmos stuff, which is it's an LG problem, but the audio volume going through the LG using eARC to the receiver, the volume is like super low to the point where I have to go above 0 on my receiver. So normally I don't like to do that, but I'm normally at like +5, +10. Now, obviously it's not hurting anything because the volume's so low, right? We're not overdriving the speakers. But it's still like, I've done some research and it appears to be like Tidal blames LG. LG's like, we don't know. So like, I don't think it's ever going to get fixed. Yeah. It's a typical, like, blame the other company, blah, blah, blah. So exactly. But what I have heard, from Tidal sounds really, really good. It's just the user experience. Once the music's playing, it's fine. But it's actually getting the music playing that's the issue, or changing the track that's the issue. It's not very intuitive, unfortunately. And I don't know if Qobuz is any better. I would hope that, because Qobuz is more recent, that it would be a better experience. I really think that if and I know there are people out there that just hate Apple and on Apple product. That's fine. That's everybody has their own prerogative. As I'm sitting here live streaming from a MacBook Air, and you have a MacBook Pro. So, but I think if Apple could come out with like a 4K streaming box that does lossless audio, like Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, and they can use that, then I think that they will kind of corner the market there, especially if they can update their Apple Music library with lossless audio. Hello. I meant to highlight another comment, but hello, Vega Power. But I would agree with you. It's because I don't currently have a device connected. I actually sold my NVIDIA Shield TV Pro because, anybody who's tuned into the stream before knows that I just can't.
Too many problems.
Too many problems for me. But yeah, eARC HDMI for music streaming from a TV will yield the worst results. Yeah, I'm just honestly really surprised that there's no PC alternative for Tidal, like where you could stream lossless audio,
Yeah.
Dolby Atmos over your PC. Doesn't support that. You have to go by their list of devices that support like spatial audio streaming. Which, you know, I mean, that's their prerogative, but I think at this point it's a bit outdated to not have functionality across a bunch of different devices. I don't expect that from Apple, honestly. However, I wouldn't mind seeing it. I would love to see it. But yeah, so I've talked a bit about my experience. What has been your experience, Elon, like with streaming audio? Because you've reviewed a few different things.
Well, the only things I've reviewed have been that involved Apple Music. Because I reviewed spatial audio when it first came out, and I think like 2021 or 2022. And that's when it was just absolute dog shit. Because it was totally brand new. It just seemed like so many studios or like studios that had collections and masters of these, you know, records and stuff in their vault, you could say. I think they just got this really quick email from Apple saying, "Hey, we're about to launch this. I know it's kind of rushed, but can you get some Dolby Atmos tracks available on such and such a date?" And it just seemed like everybody just upmixed everything to Dolby Atmos
Yeah.
without actually taking the time to remix it. Um, so yeah, it was terrible. And then I did another comparison or just like an updated version of that.
Yeah.
What was it, earlier this year? Yeah, I think it was in the spring or summertime earlier this year. And yeah, there were some definite tracks that sounded really good, very immersive. Again, Apple TV 4K does not support lossless, unfortunately. So it is still the lossy Dolby Atmos. But as far as just spatial audio, it was leagues better than when it first launched. Vocals in the center, not all the time. A lot of times vocals will still be panned or, coming out the left and the right. But yeah, stuff going all up above me, guitars and stuff in the surrounds, maybe strings or something in the surround backs. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way. But Kevin kind of brings up a good point. He said Amazon Music on my Apple TV 4K has been neutered hard when compared to the PC app. I tried Apple Music and find it very difficult to navigate, to be nice. The Apple Music recommendations suck. But I kind of had to agree. Like, even though, I mean, I haven't found the interface of Apple Music to be all that difficult to navigate, at least for what I've been trying to find, or just songs that I want to find real quick, or maybe even my girls will ask me to put on a certain song when I'm driving, and I'll be able to find it pretty easily on Apple Music. But I will say that I think this is actually, you can probably attest to this, but it just seems like the algorithm, when you put anything on shuffle, sucks. Like, especially if it's like a playlist that has like hundreds of songs.
Yeah.
If you put anything on shuffle, it just seems like, again, probably because somebody's paying big money behind the scenes, that studios are like, "Hey, we've got to have this many streams per day, or else, we're pulling our plug and we're not going to go with you anymore." Because it just seems like if you put something on shuffle, like a particular genre, or maybe, my girls like Taylor Swift, so instead of only playing Taylor Swift, I'll go to Taylor Swift's profile page, and then I'll click the three little dots, and I'll just say create station. So it'll create a radio station, quote unquote, based on stuff that sounds like Taylor Swift. So
Yeah.
it'll start with a Taylor Swift song, but then it'll go to, other people that sound like Taylor Swift. So that's great. That's cool. But it just seems like every time I do that, or every time I shuffle a particular genre, or every time I shuffle a playlist that has hundreds and hundreds of songs, I'm still immediately hearing, or they immediately start with the same like 10 or 20 songs. And it's so frustrating because it's like, I know there's more on here because this also happened when I first moved to this town. I drove Uber just because I didn't have a job at the time. So I was like, oh, I'll make some money somehow. So I started driving for Uber and eventually Lyft. And I had this playlist curated of just it's because I Beck is my favorite artist
Mhm.
of all time. So I made a Beck playlist of just his songs. And so I'd be driving people around listening to Beck, and it just seemed like no matter how many hours I'd been driving, like I'd always hear the same songs over and over.
Yeah.
And like I'm like, I know that I put basically every Beck song in this playlist. I should be hearing the more rare songs. Why am
Yeah.
I not hearing the rare songs? So that kind of thing like just bugs me because it was the same thing when I had a subscription to Spotify. Spotify's shuffle would do the same thing. I'd always hear just the same stupid songs over and over. So I don't know what it is about their shuffle algorithms, but I wish they were just better.
Yeah. Yeah. I I agree. Although I have like I have some playlists for exercising and stuff, and I don't really just use shuffle for that. And I haven't found with Spotify at least that it repeats a lot of the same songs, although they typically go in the same order, unless I kind of turn off
Yeah,
shuffle and then shuffle it again. It's weird. It's
right.
weird. I did want to highlight a couple of comments real quick here. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. Can a Mac Mini probably output Atmos? It can, but only for like Apple Music. It's not under the device supported list for Tidal. Um, so
Yeah.
from what I understand, it can't do that. Also, I wanted to highlight Kevin's comment real quick because he's awesome and gave us a super chat earlier too. Have either of you watched the latest Deadpool? What's your opinions? Thanks. Have you seen it, Elon?
No, I actually haven't seen it yet.
Again, I'm just gonna say it. I thought it was garbage. It was my least favorite Deadpool movie of the three.
Really?
Um, yeah, I honestly, when it was over, I kind of went, thank God.
No
They tried to
way.
do way too much with Wolverine. It just, I mean, maybe it's just the mood I was in or something. I didn't think it was very well, like, so I know that Deadpool is supposed to be Merc with a mouth, but holy
Mhm.
shit, there was like there was no silence in this movie when it came to dialogue. There was someone always talking, always.
Yeah.
It was cool seeing like cameos. That's
Yeah.
kind of what kept me going. But
Right.
I found the audio mix to just kind of be they cooked the bass on that like super high. Like it was
Oh,
not
yeah.
enjoyable. The fight scene in the beginning, you know how every Deadpool starts with like a fight scene to a song.
Yep.
This one just went on way too long, way too long. Um, I don't. I even my wife who loves Deadpool, she's like, she's like, I could have done without. I could have done without a lot of that.
Wow.
So for
Okay.
her to say that, I think I'm finally. I'm also. I think I'm at the point where I'm like, there's too much Ryan Reynolds saturation. The dude's everywhere.
Yeah.
Um, I thought, seeing Hugh Jackman return as Wolverine was cool, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, like it didn't. There were I laughed a lot during the first two Deadpool movies, a lot. I didn't
Yeah.
laugh a lot in this one at all. A lot of the to me, a lot of the humor just fell flat. It felt forced, which the other Deadpools didn't. So yeah,
Mhm.
that's kind of like where I'm at with it. Again, your mileage may vary. I also am so sick and tired of superhero movies that that's part of it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and what's funny, Kevin, he actually posted this too. I agree with Brad. Too many F words and the multiverse nonsense. Barf. Yeah, I'm not one to shy away from language. I don't really care. Like I always say, it's funny watching like Beverly Hills Cop on like TBS because it's
Right.
it's like a different movie without
Yeah.
Axel Foley. But again, it was like that's part of the Beverly Hills Cop franchise. Like you can't
Yeah.
have that. That'd be like what it's like watching Scarface on TNT. Just not you know
Right.
not the same movie, or Goodfellas.
Mhm.
But like there was still taste involved. Whereas like this was just like, I mean, Kevin, you've obviously seen it. The whole opening fight scene to Bye Bye Bye,
Mhm.
and the kind of crudity of like it kept going, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not a fan of this at all.
Yeah.
I would rather watch Free Guy. I really enjoyed Free Guy.
Free Guy
Um,
was fun. Yeah.
I would watch that 10 times over before I watched uh this new Deadpool, the
Mm.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
I just didn't find it very engaging um at all. At all.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought Free Guy was just very well done, and this just kind of felt like they didn't really know what to do, and so they kind of threw everything in the kitchen sink at it.
Mhm.
You know, it's kind of like I remember it like in film, like when I went to film school, I was in like a script writing class, and they were like, "Don't try to like put too much in your movie,"
Yeah.
and it's almost like they went, "Screw that. We're gonna do everything we want to do, multiverse, time travel, all of this stuff." Like,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, a really annoying villain. Like you just don't care. Like I was like, please let this universe just die.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it's had some cool moments for sure. But like there was a like yeah, there was a lot of just stuff in it that I was like, oh, uh, no thanks,
Hmm.
no thanks.
Wow.
But
I was thinking about getting I'll still get it on 4K Blu-ray, but I'll probably wait till it goes on sale for like $10 or
wait
something.
for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah, we yeah, it was just. I mean, like video quality wise, it was fine. The audio mix was okay. But like I said,
Mhm.
when the bass is so overdone, over the top, it kind of takes away from the rest of the mix,
Yeah.
you know? Um, and that's kind of like why I spend so much time calibrating and making sure things are good. So like I want to be able to enjoy it. And when a mix comes along that doesn't whip it, get it. Anyway, no, yeah,
Whip it good.
when a mix comes along like that, it's just kind of like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I turn
Good.
into like Jerry Seinfeld when Kesha asks for a hug. No, I'm good. No, thanks. Uh, but yeah, to kind of get back to what you're saying about like streaming stuff, you know, Spotify, they're kind of dragging their feet with the quality of their tracks. I mean, it's like I
Mhm.
said, it's serviceable, but I think they've kind of hinted at a while like, hey, we're gonna like
Oh, yeah.
we're gonna offer this or offer that, and they just haven't really delivered on it.
It's been a
Um,
rumor for years.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I would love to see it, because I think that while good, for people that do critical listening, I would honestly just love to have, and I think everybody out there would love to have this too. I just want one service that takes care of everything. I don't want like, okay, I got to have this. I got to like, Apple Music to do this. I have to have Spotify to do
Mhm.
this. I have to have Tidal to do this. It's kind of like the same
Yeah.
with streaming services. For
Yeah.
video, it's like we're just back to cable again. Now we have
Yeah, pretty
a
much.
million different You know, you want to watch this? Okay, you got to have this. You want this? Okay, yeah. It's like we're just back to square one, and
Mhm.
you know, I mean, yeah, we have probably more choice in terms of like what we subscribe to and what we don't. I know there's like a rumor that Netflix was going to add a like a penalty or something, which I think would completely ruin their business if they did this. Like they have so many people that will like sign up for 1 month to watch a
Mhm.
show or whatever, cancel, and then when another show comes out, like
Oh,
so they're
yeah.
gonna like I was reading that they're knocking around the idea to like throw a penalty in there when you restart within a certain time frame. And I'm like,
Huh.
well, then okay, are you trying to increase the amount of people that pirate your stuff? Because that's what's going to
Yeah.
happen. Like the people are going to
Mhm.
go search for other means to watch something. Um,
I know, no offense to anyone who subscribes to Peacock, but I only subscribe to Peacock during the summer so I could watch the Olympics, and that was
I
it.
mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, like I'm offended. No, I don't. We don't have any subscriptions currently for video streaming, which feels great. Like you
What?
know, yeah, we don't have Disney Plus. We don't have anything. We yeah, if
Netflix? Max? Nothing?
nothing. Max is awful. I would never give Max my money. I don't care if there's something on there that I want to watch. I'll wait for the physical
I know.
release. And if it,
Max is so buggy. It's
well, that and all
ridiculous.
of their like catalog stuff, the audio mix is garbage. It's so bad. I remember watching, and when I say catalog, I mean like their older movies, right? Like I'd never
Yeah,
seen them. I watched Analyze This and Analyze That, Billy
yeah,
Crystal, Robert De Niro.
yeah.
Um, and I was like, is something wrong with the audio? Like, I don't understand. Like, and what's funny is I have a friend that I used to do a podcast with who will message me every time he watches something on HBO Max and be like, dude, you were right. Like, I don't know what is like, whatever they're doing with their audios is awful. And they would
Yeah.
have issues with like, during COVID and everything with their day and date releases in theater because nobody was going to the theater. They would have
Right.
audio issues and video issues. I remember they always seem to have a weird issue with like their video on like the first week where it was just like Dolby Vision would be super washed out. You'd have to like force
Oh,
HDR. It was weird, man. But yeah, I don't. Oh man, Max is just yeah. So yeah, but we only subscribe when we're gonna watch when we're gonna watch something. Like I thought about restarting
yeah.
Netflix to go through because it's spooky season to go
Mhm.
through the Haunting of Hill House and Haunting of Bly Manor.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and it's kind of something I'd like to do like once a year, maybe Midnight Mass. Like those three. I'm a big Mike Flanagan fan, so I don't know if you could tell. Um, they're all Mike Flanagan shows.
Are you gonna subscribe to Netflix again when Stranger Things, the last season drops?
Yeah, only after I think like I'm here's another thing that I hate. I hope one, they just I hate these whole like, oh, we're gonna release half the season and then like 6 months to a year
6
later.
months, yeah, yeah,
We've
yeah.
waited so long already for this. Just give us all of it. Honestly, like by the time you
Yeah.
finish it, all these kids are gonna be like in their 40s, it feels like. And honestly, I don't get like I've lost hype for it. I don't really like I'll
Mhm.
watch it, but I'm also like, oh, okay. It's like the longer I have to wait, like finally we're getting I don't know if you've seen the latest trailer for Severance season 2. It came out I think
No.
yesterday. There's a new
Oh, I have not seen that. Ah!
yeah, so January. Oh man, like
Ah,
we'll get Apple TV Plus just for that.
yeah.
Because
Can't
man,
come
I
soon
I
enough.
also we want to rewatch the first season before we watch the second. So we'll probably maybe
Right.
get it in December and just yeah, I'm excited for that because that show kind of came out of nowhere too. We suddenly like pivoted into like talking about streaming shows instead of audio. But Riley, who is here, welcome Riley. Um,
Hello.
usually gets 2 streaming services at a time, watch everything over a few months, then cancel those and switch to new ones. By then, the other services get new content. And then that's a very good point. That's what we used to do, but I got so busy at one point that since I'm the one that always signs up for this stuff, I'm the one that gets to cancel it. I could tell my wife and be like, "Hey, can you cancel Netflix or whatever?" But like I forget. And so we'd pay for like months and months at a time.
Right.
And we're like, yeah, we gave Netflix, a couple $100 for not using it. And yeah, Joel, agree. Still waiting on the day they can do uncompressed audio for movie streams. I feel like it
I
wouldn't
know.
be that hard versus I already feel like the video quality could be better, but it's serviceable. Like
Yeah.
for like, especially, with like the Netflix original shows and stuff like that.
Mhm.
We're kind of there. And I think HDR makes more of a difference than just like straight up like resolution and bit rate. But I still think that like the codec they're using now is just much more efficient than what we started with a few years ago. Um, like I mean, gosh, the last season of Stranger Things looked freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And we're talking about like a super compressed stream, but I would love to get like,
And
you
good
know,
Atmos too.
yeah, but I would love to have lossless, and I feel like you're not asking as much from audio as you are from video in terms of bit rate for what you need to stream, right? Like,
Are those even available on physical media? I don't think they are, huh?
I don't think so.
Stranger
Yeah.
Things, 4K
So,
Blu-ray.
oh, there you go. So Joel says we can get super high quality audio on, for example, Tidal. Why can't Netflix do compressed video and uncompressed audio streaming for movies? I mean, I agree with you
I know,
100%, and I
right?
think that part of it is when you look at like the demographic and the audience they're trying. Like Tidal is going to appeal to a specific type of audience that wants that kind of lossless like they're searching for that. They want that, the hi-fi lovers and things like that.
Yeah.
Netflix is more of um like a broad appeal, right? They're trying to appeal to as many different people as possible. Where Tidal has like a really
Right.
kind of specific target that they're trying to go for, I think. Would they like to maybe open it up? Sure, but yeah, I don't think anybody kind of views them like there are people out there like, what the hell is Tidal? Never even heard of this.
Mhm.
Um,
You can get Stranger Things on Blu-ray,
mm,
but not 4K Blu-ray. Because I mean, yeah, once Stranger Things is over with, I would pay money to get the entire series on 4K Blu-ray.
yeah. I mean, look what HBO did. I mean, not to bring up HBO, but Game of Thrones, you can get all the
Yeah.
seasons on 4K Blu-ray with Dolby Atmos.
Yep.
So like you get upgraded video and upgraded audio. I
Mhm.
mean, it's a win-win.
And even the prequel, the House of Dragon or whatever.
Oh, right, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are on physical media too. So
yeah. So
everyone needs to do that.
I just, yeah, everybody, yeah. I do think we will eventually see some type of service that offers lossless audio streaming. I think we will eventually see. I think was it the Bravia Core is pretty good because you've used that, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yep. Yeah,
um,
it was darn close, but
to
not quite physical media level, but
yeah,
not very far off either. So,
yeah. And I think that like if you look at because can you download those movies or it's just streaming?
no, just streaming.
No. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't remember where I saw it, but like they were comparing the size of the Bravia Core file size of a movie versus like the disc, and it was like almost the same as what's on the disc.
Oh.
Could be wrong. I could be
But,
also thinking of something
yeah.
else.
Yeah, because it was when I tried
Yeah.
Bravia Core, I tried to find if there was a way to download it, but yeah, there's no way. You can
There's no
only
way.
stream it.
Yeah,
So
maybe this was something else then. Um, I don't
yeah,
remember.
because you can tell Bravia Core to just do standard, or there's like a higher resolution version depending on if you have like really good internet or not.
Yeah.
And the higher resolution streams up to 80 gigabits per second. So,
You mean megabytes?
and it,
Megabits? You said gigabits, which is a lot
oh
of.
yeah,
I don't think that would be
right,
possible.
80
Um,
megabits.
yeah, megabytes. Something I don't know. Bit byte.
Yeah, I think it's bit
byte.
when it's actually in motion,
Yeah.
when it's streaming, and it's
Mhm.
byte when it's like stationary, like storage.
I think you're wrong, but that's fine. Let's
No!
Google it. No. Yeah, we're already off topic. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, no. Although let me just say something. Last night we started watching Casper, the Friendly Ghost. What was it? I think mid 90s.
Christina Ricci, Bill
Yeah.
Pullman,
Yep. Yeah.
Brad Garrett as the Fatso.
We're
that his
starting
name,
to watch
Fatso?
that. Yeah, Fatso.
Yeah.
And I'm just so used to streaming audio. The shows that are coming out, the modern shows, all the stuff that we watch nowadays via streaming. This is a movie. It happened to be on Prime Video. That's the only place I could find it that it's just streaming for free. So I queued it up on Prime Video, started watching it, and right out the gate, so dynamic. I like the quiet, because it starts off with those kids going to the haunted house, and they just want to get a picture of the ghost that is supposedly in the house. So there's a lot of quiet stuff going on. They're walking around, the footsteps, whatever. And then when the action starts to happen, it got so loud, and my subwoofer was going crazy. But in a good way. I'm saying
Yeah.
all this in, like, as I was super impressed. And it just goes to show, like, yeah, that's just what happens when you have a big budget to solely do sound, the sound design and the sound mixing for
Mhm.
something that's hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
And a kid movie, a children's movie from the
Yes,
90s.
and a
Yeah.
kids movie, because that's cinema. That is what cinema is all about. It's
I like the way you say cinema. Cinema. Like it's a
Well, yeah, I have to emphasize it because there's a difference between cinema and whatever we're getting nowadays, where everything is just content. Everything needs
Yeah.
to fill each other's, just fill space and fill time slots and fill your days with entertainment. That's what we've been forced to watch nowadays instead of just good cinema. Because, yeah, that back in the 90s, or just pretty much ever since cinema was a thing back in the early 1900s, until we started having to, have all these streaming services, you're getting sound mixes that were done with very high budgets for only a short amount of time. Because I bet the same amount of money that was spent on Casper's sound department, or just like thrown at the sound department, I bet that same amount of money is probably the same amount of money you're going to get for an entire season of whatever show, Rings of Power or Stranger Things. And that's hours and hours and hours of content. So, like, the budget's already stretched thin. So no wonder you're going to get a subpar sound mix. So, like, I don't know, it just kind of blew me away last night. I was like, holy shit. This is what audio should sound like. And that's Prime Video. That's not physical media. And it was still like so much better than anything I've heard recently that has come out.
Yeah.
It's night and day.
Well, I just looked it up. Casper had a $55 million budget in 1995. So it was probably 93, 94 when it was in production. So yeah, that yeah, but I feel like and that's including all the effects, which there are many in the film.
Yeah.
And quite a few that are kind of pioneered visual effects at the time. This is after Jurassic Park. So yeah, I mean,
Yep.
Casper is one of my favorite movies. Like we saw that in the theater. I was 12.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I saw it in theater too.
Yeah. And as
Yeah.
a 12-year-old boy, I had a thing for Christina Ricci, you know. So,
Oh yeah.
whatever. I mean,
I had a huge crush on Christina
still do.
Ricci.
Still do. My wife knows it. It's
I bet
fine.
I
No.
bet everybody in our generation had a massive
Yeah.
crush on Christina Ricci.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
But
it was Casper and oh gosh, what was that other one?
now and then,
Where they're yes,
a bunch
now
of
and
girls.
then.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
jeez. Yeah.
Yep. Set in the 60s, I think. Something like that.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Which is Kevin has a good point. Elon is 100% correct. Cookie cutter, get something on screen fast, garbage today, never gone with the wind again. What's funny is
Yeah.
we were watching Twisters, my wife and I, and it was definitely, don't get me wrong, it was more enjoyable than Deadpool and Wolverine by a mile, not even comparing that. But it's like they just took the bones of Twister and changed some things around. So like instead of this, it was
Mhm.
that. Instead of, blah blah blah, it took, like, instead of taking place over here, it took place over here. None of the characters are ever from the original are ever addressed or anything. Um
Mhm.
so like it's like they have Dorothy too, and she's like old and decrepit, but like they never say where it came from, or
Mm.
like, hey, this was my aunt's, or this was my mom's, or this was like whatever. It was just kind of like, okay, it's just kind of weird. But it's like, yeah, it's like kind of cookie cutter, like beat for beat. Like, okay, there's so many moments where I'm like, oh, yep, that was from the original. Oh, yep, that's from, okay. There's some cool little nods to like the attraction at when the attraction was at Universal Studios, like, some like a little nod in there where like the girl makes like
Mm.
a when she was younger, made like a fake tornado town with like a big fan that like would spin up smoke, which is exactly how it was created for the attraction at Universal. So it was kind of like a little nod
Right.
there. But
Yeah.
overall, um, it was like yeah, I just like so cookie cutter. And that's what the problem is, like, with a lot of content these days. It's just like,
Mhm.
you know, um, I imagine the writer's room is just like, but occasionally, you get something like sinister or something like that
Yeah.
really comes along and is like kind of outside of the box, or just like surprises you with how original it could be. And it's hard to say original in 2024 because like, movies have been around so long. It's
Yeah.
same with music too. It's like music has been around so long. It's like, how do you like how is every single melody that can be out there not out there, right? Like it just,
Yeah.
but like it comes along and it's like original. It's like, wow, that really got me. And there's also like nostalgia where you watch a movie and you're like, man, this feels like a movie that would come out in the 80s, and that's very very rare. 80s or
Mhm.
90s. It's like, I can't remember the last movie we watched that felt like that, but I was like, oh man, I love that, and it's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Uh, yes, it's gone. But oh, here we go.
Uh,
Joel has a good question here. What is your noise floor dB in your theater room? With my inefficient speakers, they can't get louder, but maybe I can bring the noise floor down and improve. Perhaps a hush box for projector. I can answer. The noise floor in my theater room is around with the AC on. It's 39 dB.
yeah, I think mine
The
is
noise
like
floor.
36 or something,
Yeah.
maybe.
With the AC off, basically it's like 33, 34.
Mm,
So like,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I don't know, yeah. But I also have like, acoustic panels, but it also changes when a car drives by, like, cuz the
Right.
theater room's in the front of the house.
Yeah.
So when a car drives by or someone like we have a neighbor across the street that just has a loud exhaust in their car. It's a Mustang, and I'm like, every time it's like a quiet sex scene or something.
You're so cool.
Yeah, man, smoke your cigarettes, go drive your car. But yeah, like if like how inefficient like are your speakers, Joel? That's my question. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, they like 85, 82 dB.
and how are you powering them? That's the other question.
Yeah.
85. Are you powering them from
85,
the
okay.
receiver or the AVR? Do you have like a separate amplifier that you're powering them from?
Or can your receiver even do? Oh,
Emotiva.
Emotiva amps?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Huh.
I mean, I don't know. I can bring the noise floor down and improve perhaps hush box.
Yeah. I mean, if you could bring the noise
Hmm.
floor down somehow in the room, that would definitely improve your overall dynamics. As well, because there's nothing like a quiet scene going on and then all you can hear is like noise, right?
Yeah.
Kind of takes you out of it. Yeah, it's like um but yeah, that's interesting. Like I'd still like I wonder what like the max SPL of the speakers are. Because even when I had the Pioneer Andrew Jones hooked up, and they were I mean they're around that. They're around 85 dB. Maybe go to 86, 87. I would still I guess it just depends on what volume you listen to, but I like after calibration and everything, I typically would listen at like -10 and would still like but again, like you said, the noise floor made a difference, but I didn't have any problems with the receiver driving them. But when I added the energy amp from Aperion, that kind of opened things up.
Mhm.
Because they're also like 6 ohm, and I get like yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
ELAC Unify 2.0.
Well, I guess also yeah, the room size would be a factor
Yeah.
too. Because I have a tiny room, like 11 by 12, so that's the room is gonna affect like what size is your room, Joel? That was my other question I was gonna ask.
Yeah.
Because like powering like having an inefficient speaker in an 11 by 12 room is a different experience than having a speaker in like a 10 by 20 room of the same efficiency,
Mhm.
right? Like it's not yeah, okay. There you go.
Whoa. Yeah.
That's okay. I think you just yeah, that would explain it. 25 by 25 by 7.5. So yeah. Yeah, bring
Yeah,
the
that's
noise floor
big.
down, but yeah, I mean in a perfect world, having more efficient speakers with a higher sensitivity would help tremendously.
Yeah.
That's what's wild to me is like when I went from going from like the Pioneer to the Theatrus, when I would do the Pioneer calibration manually, I would always end up with having to boost them by like to get them up to like my 0 dB 75 my zero reference volume on the receiver 75 dB to match like my curve. I would have to boost them by like 4.5 dB, right? Even with the amp.
Oh,
With
yeah.
the Theatrus, I'm actually minus 4.5 dB. So like they're much
Yeah.
more efficient, right?
Right.
Um, and so like that's also just opening up the headroom even more. And
Yeah.
that's the same for like it's not quite as it's not quite the same with the Theatrus TC65s, which are they're like smaller, like two-way surrounds.
Mhm.
I think I'm like -2 on those, and maybe because of the compromise of the rears, I probably like a +1 on the back surrounds. But
Yeah.
yeah, nothing like yeah, I mean just because they're they're kind of like not positioned they're positioned as best as they can be in the room. But I had to raise them up to clear the back of the seats, so like you can actually hear what's going on, and that changes both the frequency response and output, as you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, let's see here.
Huh.
Yeah, Kevin
Yeah,
said,
I mean, I wonder if it would even be better if because the ELAC Unifies are 6 ohm speakers.
mhm.
So perhaps if he went with 4 ohm speakers, because anytime you go down to 4 ohm, then whatever your amp's power rating is usually gets that much bigger and or that much more powerful, powering 4 ohm speakers.
Yeah.
So even the Emotiva amps that you currently have would be able to push more power if you had 4 ohm speakers. So that might be an option. I mean, I know it's not that easy just to go and get some
Yeah.
more speakers.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I
totally
know.
understand that, but
Yeah. I'm not
but
gonna
yeah,
talk. I'm
85
not. Yeah.
decibels, 85 decibel sensitivity. Yeah, that's kind of on the low end. So
Yeah.
maybe if you had something more like 88 or 90 decibel sensitivity speakers, then you'll be able to. I mean, honestly, because of the size of your room, that's a pretty big room.
Yeah.
Um, so
Look at the Theatris from Aperion Audio. Um,
use my code.
use my code. Get 10% off. Uh, actually, yeah, I do have that code. Brad HTG at checkout. Use it. Yeah, like I'm just looking at it because I was just curious because I forgot off the top of my head. But yeah, the TC65s are not TC, sorry. The T65s are 4 ohm with a 94 dB sensitivity. So that's almost 10 dB more sensitive, which,
Yeah.
especially, I think just for that size of the room, you need kind of bigger speakers,
Yeah. I
more,
mean,
have a little more.
Joel, are those speakers like against every wall, or are some of the speakers in a little bit?
Yeah, he does
Is
have
that
treatment put up, but it's not a dedicated room though. So it's just share with the game
yeah,
room. So like I think there's a
yeah,
limitation to like what can be done in the room, which is totally understandable.
right, right.
Um, and that's like the compromise we have to like make with ourselves, right? When we're setting up a system, I can only do certain things in this room that for whatever reason could be, you're sharing
Yeah,
it as another room, or maybe like, you have a significant other that doesn't really like the stuff. Um,
mhm.
it was so, I was like, I knew I married the right woman when we bought this house, and she's like, well, that can be the theater room. I'm like, I love you. It was awesome. It was awesome. But yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, Joel, 25 by 25, if those speakers happen to be like against the wall and that's all you can do, yeah, I would honestly try and get a 4 ohm speaker. But I get it though. The ELAC Unifies are pretty um, affordable for what they can do, and they're 3-way, which is awesome. Man, if every single one of my speakers is 3-way, that's like bread and butter. Um, but yeah, other than that, like the ELAC Unifies have a 5 1/4 inch woofer, but with that much distance between your listening space and the walls, you should probably get at least a 6-inch woofer, probably more likely 8-inch woofer to just be able to push the air molecules that much more efficiently.
air
Um,
molecules.
that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Elon deGrasse Tyson. Air molecules. When you said, I was just looking at
Yeah.
these. I don't know. Do you have the floor standards, Joel, or is it the? I would
Or is it
hope.
the bookshelves?
Yeah. So like,
Are those 5 1/4 inch too?
yeah, 5 1/4, 3 5 1/4 inch. And they are 85
Yeah.
dB, 6 ohm.
Right.
Three-way. And there is also something I personally love soft dome tweeters. I'm not a fan of like horn loaded stuff, although I will say again, not tooting appearing audio's horn. I had never heard it on like a ribbon style tweeter in my theater, and
Very cool.
it's actually really surprised me.
Yeah.
The natural sound of it, while also having like it just sounds more airy, I guess, than like a
Yeah.
something like a Klipsch horn loaded thing, which just is fatiguing. I don't get that. So like in my opinion, if you're looking at eventually upgrading and you like the way the soft dome sounds, you definitely want to be careful about the speakers that you choose, right? Like because if you're to me, soft dome has always kind of sounded more warm,
Yeah.
whereas like the Klipsch just sound a little like that. We're kind of comparing that's like two like apples and oranges with those,
Mhm.
right? Like the horn loaded tweeter on a Klipsch is like yes, very efficient, but also man, it can scream at you. Whereas like
Mhm.
the soft dome stuff is just more relaxed. Um,
Yeah, and Kevin kind of brings up a good point. Also, giving pointers to Joel, if you can afford it, try a pair of Emotiva bigger towers, because the Emotiva Air Motive speakers are I think one of the only ones that are still budget friendly, but they have an AMT style tweeter.
yeah.
So
Is that the ones that are like $1,000 a pair or something like that?
some something like that. Yeah, they're
I see.
really.
I don't know if you've seen the ads that Cheap Audio Man has done about them. I see him all over Instagram.
Yep.
Um, but he's like, if you want, in my opinion, if you want $1,000 speakers that sound like a $10,000 pair of speakers, these are the ones go with these. I
Yeah.
just thought it was funny. I also met him at Audio Advice Live. Super nice guy.
Yeah, he's all about Emotiva stuff. Because I mean, not only do they have good stuff that's, affordable, but like even
Yeah.
their staff is super cool.
And I think that's kind of why I always like go to either SVS or Aperion is because I've dealt with them for so long, both of them, that like I know their staff and the people kind of dictate how I view the company, right?
Mhm.
And if like you're a jerk, I'm not gonna want to work with you. But like they both have this kind of like familial feel to them, and it's like you want to support them, right? Um,
Yeah.
uh, oh no, he says it's because of Cheap Audio Man that I pulled the trigger on the Elax SMH. Oh no. Um, we only get things right 50% of the time. No, I'm just kidding. No. Yeah, I mean, I got into this hobby before I knew. Um, oh
Yeah,
yeah.
here's those ones you were talking about, the XT1 floor standing tower speakers, $1,000 per pair.
Hmm.
I mean, of course, they definitely have more expensive ones, XT2 and XT3, but for a AMT style tweeter, look at that, 3
No.
woofers down there
Wow.
and a
What are the
and a
specs on that?
mid-range. Good question. Specs.
It downloads. So they are what 89 dB efficiency, 4 ohm.
Yeah. So the mid-range driver is 4.5-inch woven cone diaphragm, aluminum voice coil. Oh, these are also 5.25 inch. Hmm. But yeah, 89 dB though. That's quite a bit more efficient. And they're 4 ohm nominal. Look at that.
Bam.
So I don't know. Ah, my microphone's attacking me.
Oh no. Well, he did say at least he got the Elax on Amazon for 50% off.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
I mean,
Okay.
hard to when you get a deal like that, it's kind of hard to pass up. Even if you use them for a while and you replace them eventually, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I got a good deal on these. I've used them. I've gotten my money's worth. But yeah. It's just always hard. Like it's a difficult thing. Elon and I are in a very kind of different position. Is like we could typically, it's kind of easy. I think for me at least, it's easy to get speakers and stuff like that from like a company that wants to like, hey, do you want to like check these out? Most of the time, the companies I've worked with, they're like, do you want to keep them or whatever? Or if like, hey, if you do this, whereas like getting like receivers and tech is like much, much harder. Like any type of technology.
Yes.
Like I feel like most companies are willing to just kind of send you out speakers and just be like, yeah, man, like just if you like them, we'll work something out or whatever. There are companies that don't do that. I do have a hard time getting stuff from Arundel. I don't know why. It's just like maybe my channel's not big enough. But like,
oh yeah, maybe
they're selective too. Like not saying anything bad about them. I get requests to check them out. So when I reach out and I don't hear anything, or it's like, hey, we don't have anything right now. It's like, all right. I mean, I can't afford to buy your speakers. So,
right.
if I bought every single thing that I wanted to review, it's, sorry, I just realized my light was like turned. Then yeah. But yeah, so we can normally check stuff out. And, Kevin also brings up a good point. This is something I brought up in my conversation with Nick from SVS at Audio Advice Live is Emotiva and SVS are tops in customer service. You can say what you want about, SVS. I know there are people that are like, well, you can get this sub from the blah, blah, blah from this other company. And they kind of go off and like SVS is too expensive. And it's like, okay, but what's the customer service like? Experience, like that's where I come from. It's like even before I started my channel, way back in the day, like I had problems with an SVS sub and they took care of me even out of warranty. Not many companies do that. In my experience, LG, when I had an old LG Plasma that literally developed like a whole line of pixels that died, it took them 3 months to issue me a replacement. 3 months. They'd send a tech out to look at the panel and say, "Oh yeah, that's not normal. I'll order a new." I can't remember I think it was a main board, thinking that would fix it. The main board was on back order, and nobody like contacted me. And then when I called, like about a month and a half in, I got this really snarky lady on the phone, and I was like, "Look, I'm not trying to be. I'm just like, hey, like this is expensive.
Yeah.
I have like basically a set that I can't really use. I just want to get this resolved." It's like, well, we're doing everything we can. It's like, but are you? Like, if you are, why does it take? And they eventually just said they contacted the place I bought it from and it got it approved for me to be able to take it back there and just swap it out. So like after all of that, I ended up having to like load it up in the box, take it to the place like that I bought it. And I was like, I remember saying to myself, never buying an LG again. And what did I do? Bought an LG OLED.
You bought an LG.
Rock solid though. I'm gonna knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, customer service is definitely something that most people don't talk about when they just look at a speaker or sub, or even a streaming service like Tidal. See how I just kind of went back around? No.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I had read like doing research for this topic as well as like just kind of researching my own issues, having the issues with Tidal. People do not have nice things to say about their customer service. So
Tidal
like,
customer service?
Yeah. It's that kind of age old thing. They're always blaming somebody else. It's not Tidal. And I get it. Like as a company that is making a piece of software and providing like a service, you have so many devices that this service and this software, this app or whatever is on. So you can't factor every single variable in when you're trying to deal with somebody. But at least have a more like at least have better people that have, maybe actual customer service skills. Um, I
What?
know, right? But again, I've never had to call Disney or Amazon or I know Amazon is pretty good, but they outsource a lot of their stuff now. So
Mhm.
makes it hard when you're talking to somebody over chat or whatever. And it's just like, am I talking to a robot?
Yeah, I know. Is this just a chat bot?
Yeah, is this actually Elon? Or
No.
what's actually worse is when what's happening lately is they want you to like you're because I almost worked at like a call center that just dealt with like chat like chat support, and it
Oh.
was this was like years and years ago, but it's like they wanted you to be able to handle 5 conversations at a like one time. So you're like talking to one person here, one person here, one person here, and like you had to keep up, and like, oh, they wanted you to offer
Dude.
this. Yeah. And it's like, okay, how do you like I would understand like maybe 2 or 3, you
Yeah.
know? But also how can you
Max.
actually provide the best support that you can provide if you're having to divvy up your attention between 3 different 5
Mhm.
different ones? So, uh yeah. I think we take
That's
I think we
stupid.
do take good support for granted, and it's only when we have to not deal with something like that that
Yeah.
it becomes an issue. Like as much as I dislike Best Buy for many things, when I was part of their when we kind of when we bought this house and I signed up for their at the time their Total Tech program, which was like
Mhm.
I can't remember how much it was for a year. They've since changed it and it's not worth it anymore, but
Mhm.
like we got free installation, free hookup. We had to buy like the connections and stuff that we needed for like our refrigerator and washer and dryer and
Yeah.
things like that. But like all that stuff was like for free, like free, and so was the Holloway. And then I remember I made an issue, like I had an issue where I forgot to do something, and like I called them, and it was like literally someone picked up. Like I was on the phone less than 20 seconds, and I had an actual person on the phone, like
Hmm.
through the chat, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's part of the Total Tech is like you get an actual person, and like you're front of the line." Because like you're
Wow.
considered like a whatever premium blah blah blah. So that was a
Yeah.
great experience, and they literally took care of everything because I was like, hey, I don't mind like if I have to pay something. I'm not like it was my fault, and they're like, oh no, we got you, don't worry about it. you know
Huh.
and it could just be that the rep I got was super nice and she was very understanding, but yeah, we could do a
Well,
whole
that's
stream just talking about customer service horror stories. Could really. Um,
Yeah. I
get
got
people
a kind of off the wall question though. Are
for
you
me.
aware maybe just in general,
Oh, see, I felt special for a second. Now I don't.
but, but I mean, you may know the answer. I don't know. Although maybe I should save this question for, if we have Bill Murphy from, Arvolution on or something. But, because he's been in the radio business before. But like, because kinda going on the topic of how the shuffle algorithm is so terrible with music streaming services. Why is it? Because it's honestly nowadays it's really rare for me to listen to the radio,
Mhm.
but every once in a while I find myself listening to the radio either in the car or whatever. A couple years ago, before COVID, I had a job here in town just at a furniture store, just working in the back warehouse of this furniture store. And they would have, Bob FM playing, from the beginning to the end of the workday. So we're listening to Bob FM every single day, all day, and it's literally the same like 50 songs
Ugh.
just over and over and over and over. Because I always love it when there's a like sometimes they do it like the 4th of July or just like some holiday weekend thing
Mhm.
where they're like, we're just gonna play our whole catalog the whole weekend from A to Z, right? just playing literally everything, in alphabetical order as far as like
Yeah.
the name of the artist or whatever. And it's like the greatest. I remember tuning in to the radio because I knew this was happening.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to hear stuff I hadn't heard in forever. So, like, why is it that radio stations play the same 50, 100 songs on repeat when you have this back catalog of decades and decades of amazing music? Why can't it always be like those A to Z weekends? Why can't it always be this amazing shuffle of just random stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and now, like, I don't know. There
Well, like I've never worked in the radio industry. Um,
What?
I know. I actually almost shot video for a local guy
Yeah.
um a long time ago. It was, I don't want to get too far into it, but if anybody is from Florida in the comments might have heard of Bubba the Love Sponge. Um it was him. But yeah, I have a theory about that, and that is money.
Yeah.
We
That's my theory too.
I mean, if we even just take a look at YouTube, people tend to chase trends, right? So
Mhm.
like if something is, I mean, we could really see if we look at TikTok. I mean, anytime some stupid dance trend comes out, there's like a bazillion scantily clad women wanting to do a little stupid dance to one of the worst songs by an artist named Jelly Roll you've ever heard. Which I'm like, Jelly Roll, yeah. Like that was also when I was on Tidal today. I was like, it's like new Dolby Atmos music by Jelly Roll, and I was like, I don't even know what this is. So I listened to it. It's like R&B and country like mixed together. I'm like,
Oh,
please
no.
no. I can't do either. Like I like R&B. I can handle R&B, but country, I was like, no, I can't do this. So
Yeah.
anyway, so like there's like a trend, which is why when a new single comes out, I mean, God, I haven't listened to the radio in forever, but 90s, early
Yeah.
2000s, the amount of times I heard like, you know, Inside Out by Eve Six when it was on
Yeah.
rotation, it was just like, oh my God, I hate that song now because I just heard it a million times. Working in retail, they typically have some type of satellite, like, I worked at a grocery store for 7 years of my life, and it was like some type of satellite, radio or whatever, but it was the
Mhm.
same stuff over and over again. And God forbid when the holidays start rolling around, oh, I couldn't handle any
Yeah.
more Mariah Carey or there's that
Right.
one Enya song. I can't remember what it is, but not Christmas music, but yeah, there was certain Christmas music that I'm like, I love Christmas music. I love the holidays. I love the kind of like feeling. But there's some songs like I can't listen to Tom Petty without like just vomiting because I just like Into the Great Wide Open just over
Yeah.
and over and over again.
Right.
But I think it really does have to do with money and like they want to chase whatever's popular right now. Um,
Mhm.
which is like I can't believe radio is still around. I thought for sure when streaming like Spotify really started to kind of hit, radio would go the way of cable because like it's still an
Yeah.
infrastructure that has been built up over time
Mhm.
and that still requires constant maintenance and to upkeep. And it's like, but like you said, now we live in a time where like they no longer need, you know, tapes or records or um
Yeah.
I can't remember what they used. It was like a digital, some type of tape around the
Mhm.
90s, 2000s that I can't remember what it was, but like, yeah, they don't like all you have to do is select a file on a computer now. Whereas like
Right.
before it was like you physically had to swap things out, right?
Right.
No longer have to do that. A lot of the stuff is automated. Uh I still think that I also have this thing like anytime I do hear someone on the radio, like a DJ, I'm like, it's 2024. Why are we still talking like this? So why are we on,
Right.
it's like they've taken all the upper end. EQ out of it, and it's just like mid-range and bass.
Yeah.
They're obviously using like a Shure SM7B,
Mhm.
which is already very bass and mid heavy, and they just take that treble out. But yeah, I think it's just purely from a money perspective. I think the record labels also have something to do with that. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're giving them money. They have sponsors that they have to do all this. So it makes sense why they're going to play that, popular Taylor Swift song because, well, if you know that that station's going to play Taylor Swift, are you going to change it
Mhm.
if you're at work or whatever? No. Like I think they're just going to keep it on there. So
Yeah.
yeah, but I think that's why like I still like never understood satellite radio. Like when we bought our car back in 2018, it came
Yeah.
with like Sirius XM for 3 months, and I'm like, it sounds better, but I've Spotify on my phone. Like, why am I gonna? What's the point?
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah. So Joel kind of updated here. He said he went over to his neighbor's house. He has these older Klipsch KLF 30s.
Whoa.
In his theater, 102 dB sensitive with 10-inch woofers. I came back home to my anemic setup, although the horn tweeters were fatiguing after a while. Yeah,
102 decibels. Wow.
yeah, yeah. And now, Kevin did mention where was it? Basically said that he could EQ the top down to make the horns easier to listen to.
Yeah.
They could be so pleasurable. Also nice. Yeah, I mean, you like I've talked about like having to EQ the highs down on well all the appearing audio speakers because they do tend to even like the AMT. They what's great about them is their off axis response of like an AMT ribbon is great.
Mhm.
Like it's like you don't have to be right, on the speaker. You can be kind of off to the side. So like the front three, well, like even in each seat, there's like it's just a much wider soundstage. And
Yeah.
so you get those highs across the whole thing. And like when you EQ them, even on average, they're more consistent throughout each seat versus like, something that's more kind of direct, like that has more directivity. Um, Whereas like a horn is still, I believe, very directive. It's not as like open. It doesn't have as much of a wide dispersion pattern as like an AMT ribbon tweeter. Um, So it's very precise. Not I'm gonna say super precise, but like it will still cover an area, but it's not gonna be as like open. Um,
Yeah.
you know. So like when you EQ like say like a Klipsch, you have to be careful when you EQ those highs at like your main listening position. As soon as you step out, like you go 2 feet over into your other seat, well now those highs are even lower because you're off the axis of that speaker. So that's
Mhm.
something that you do kind of have to be mindful of, which is why you'd want to EQ like an average area instead of just like your main listen, unless you don't care.
Right.
Because honestly, like my wife knows good sound, but like she's not gonna pick up on like a subtle thing that I may pick up on. Like I can hear resonance in a speaker when you over EQ it. Like if you boost something too much, you can like I hear it immediately, you know.
Mhm.
Especially like in the center channel where like everything comes from. Uh and I'm like, it bothers me. So like I'm very selective about like, how I do my EQ. So as long as you're careful, like yeah, you can EQ speakers. Although, there's the argument that like for Klipsch and even like AMT, like ribbon style stuff, or even like any tweeter, once you get past like the room frequency of like let's say 500 hertz or so, you're EQing the speaker, no longer the room. So there's that argument.
Yeah.
Um, but also if you are like I would say experiment, because everybody's going to have a different answer for you. And I don't think that just saying like putting a blanket statement out there like cut your EQ off at 500 hertz, it's going to be better, or like put your speakers at 80 hertz, it's going to be the best crossover. It depends. It's not
Yeah, it does.
unfortunately. It's a great starting point on both accounts, but like there are
Yep.
times when you want to EQ the full range. Just like there are times you may want to raise a crossover because raising it to 90 hertz instead of 80, will get you a much better, like smoother response at your crossover point. Whereas like 80, you might get like a 3 to 4 dB dip. So
yeah,
I think I think that you may even look at seeing Joel. I don't know if you like use REW at all, but like maybe doing a speaker measurement and seeing like what kind of response you're getting there. And if you could, maybe even like, I don't know like your full setup or system or anything like that. So, but there are ways to like, maybe boost maybe put like a shelf filter on the highs and like maybe add, 2 to 3 dB. Nothing crazy, but that might get you a little more clarity, as well as kind of filling the room a little more. You're not really pushing the speaker like or overdriving the speaker per se when you're doing this kind of like minute adjustments of like 2 or 3 dB. 3 dB does like require more amp power, but you should have more than enough headroom with that those Emotiva amps to at least try it and see if that helps you out at all, or if it makes things worse. It's hard to say without actually like listening to it in a room.
True.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I was about to just go into that. Yeah, I mean, we could talk and not. I know we got really off topic here. But yeah, I think that's okay. We always do. Oh, Casey Kasem. I'm Casey Kasem. I have a little quick funny story. On my birthday back in August, Don Dunn, who is good friends with Gene, is also a friend of mine. He called me as Casey Kasem and left me a voicemail. Should I play a little bit of it? You want to hear it?
Oh yeah.
It makes it makes me laugh. I saved it. Hopefully you'll be able to.
Hi, this is Casey Kasem. This week's letter comes from Brad. Brad writes, Dear Casey, I'm an audio video influencer, camera person, and all-around great guy. I enjoy long romantic walks on the beach.
So like, it was just funny. Like, I was like, that's hilarious. I was like, I'm saving that. I was like, I laughed. I was like, what? I was like, Don just sent me left me a voicemail, and that's Casey Kasem. But yeah, so I know we're kind of getting close to the end here, about 2 hour mark. I like to try to keep it around 2 hours. And like I said, like if you guys have any questions, last minute questions, we can do like some rapid fire stuff. Put a cue there. We'll get to it. Also, just a reminder, next week we will not be live, but we will be pre-recorded. But we will be. I'll be in the comments. I think Elon was going to try to stop by as well.
Yeah, I'll be in the comments at the beginning, but I probably have to duck out. Probably, an hour into it.
Oh, Kevin actually brought up a very good point. Often missed in home theater setup is making darn sure that all speakers are in correct electrical phase polarity. Yes, 100%. And that's actually something that Odyssey can even get wrong, believe it or not. Direct can get wrong. I was going to ask, for those that are here, would you guys be interested in a maybe live calibration live stream? Like we do it kind of like on the fly. I could do like a multi QX type thing. I could do a mini DSP thing, just kind of like not a tutorial, but just like kind of go through the process. And if you guys would be interested in that, cool. It'll probably take about 2 hours to do that stuff.
Yeah.
But it would be fun to kind of see, what you guys think of the process. And I could always use the practice too. But I want to release these other videos too. But that brings up a good, there's a way, Joel, in REW, looking at the impulse responses. Because here's the thing, like, because something is technically like wired correctly doesn't mean that it will be in phase. It also depends on the speaker. I think I've talked to Elon, I talked to Colin from Aperion about this. The Aperion audio speakers are opposite of what my Pioneers are. So I don't know which one is correct. Right? Like,
Oh,
so like for the Theatrus, I've actually had to flip the wiring to get them to be especially when I was using like the like I had the front Theatrus, but I had the rears Pioneer. I had to flip the Theatrus to match the Pioneers. And the way
Huh.
you kind of check for that is basically the impulse response. You essentially want all your speakers looking at that main impulse response, which is like the big dip, which is why I was like, it gave me the idea of like doing a live calibration, because we can look at that like in REW. It's really easy to see if something is in phase or out of phase with your other. Like if you're comparing two speakers, you basically want them all to face the same, like that impulse response to face the same way. So like you want to go up or you want to go down. My preference is I just like an impulse response should go down. That's, you want your subs to do the same thing. So you want everything to match across the board.
Yeah.
Obsessive compulsive audiophile also please do as much sorry, please do a live calibration. I volunteer my home theater, LOL. As much as I would love to do a remote calibration, it's gonna like doing it live is already gonna be hard enough. Do it like it's gonna have to be my own, just because that's what I'm familiar with. But we could try to run through some different scenarios, or just kind of like go step by step. I think it'd be kind of also like an easy topic for us to just do, like it, and you could like ask questions, Elin, if you have them as things come up, and it would require a little setup on my part to like kind of hook everything up over in there, but I don't care. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, doing it all live. Oh my gosh.
I mean, I think I mentioned that a while ago, because I think we were struggling to come up with a topic one week, and I was like, should we do like that? And we ended up coming with something else. But yeah, I would like totally like look into doing that. I think, just doing like a basic, manual Odyssey multi-QX calibration or something, kind of go through REW and show you guys how I did. It's actually really simple once you look at once you understand exactly how it works. You're like, oh, because I think there's a lot of like misinformation out there too. Not misinformation, but like there's just a lot of information. I don't want to say misinformation.
True. Yeah, it can be overwhelming for sure. And yeah, multi-QX makes it easy to port that information from REW into multi-QX.
Multiple ways too. And I think that's where people can kind of get tripped up.
Yeah.
It's like you can do a target curve or a parametric EQ, but not both. I mean, you could probably do both, but like you wouldn't want to do both. But they each have their own like pros and cons. Yeah. Like a target curve is kind of a much cleaner way of doing it, but it has less customization that you could do before the EQ. It's basically looking at the frequency response of the speaker and then doing like an inverse of it to get your correction. And the problem with that is it will boost things that shouldn't be boosted. So like it'll do like a 9 dB boost, which is you never want to do 9 dB.
No.
I'd say 6 is pushing it. 3 to 4 is probably
usually 3. Yeah.
3 to 4. I found in my theater 4 is the max I could do before resonances start getting really bad. So I typically stick with like 3 to 4. Yeah, because if I but that's why I was saying, hey, we'll do the multi QX like calibration, because like it's pretty straightforward and simple. It's time consuming, it's tedious, but with the latest REW, it's like a little easier because you have multiple, like you can do like sequential channel measurements at one time. I was texting you that because I was like, you just hit a button now and it's like does all of your main speakers. You still got to do the Atmos speakers manually. Yeah.
That's cool.
It is very cool. So yeah, maybe we'll do that after Halloween or something. We'll yeah. But it'd be fun to kind of get some, feedback on, kind of what people do, because I'm always open to like, what do you do and how could I incorporate that to make it better? I don't know if you guys realize this, but there's like a bazillion different ways you could you could go about doing something and get the same result. It's just like, yeah, it's kind of like Common Core math. So what you could do is you could just go right to the front door and go through the front door, but you could also jump the fence and go through the back door to go through the front door and then come back to. It's like, I still don't understand Common Core math. And anyway, but everybody has a different method. And, you know, it's like, I'm trying to, like, my wife is like learning Photoshop and like all the things that that I do, I like try to instill into her, but like she has her own way of doing things that work with her brain. And it's like, okay, like I've just been doing this so long that it's kind of just like cemented into my brain. But yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. It'd be a lot of fun to kind of hang out and just do a little calibration that I normally am sitting there doing by myself with earplugs in my ears, just it's because it's so loud. Yeah, I mean, Joel, you got it, man. Too many different methods out there: level match versus game match, Auro 3D setup versus Dolby Atmos setup. There's so much, and I love the comments I'll get. And you know, Elon, you deal with these types of comments too, where it's like someone coming in hot and they're just like, "You're doing this wrong. You should do that," and it's like, "Yeah, I should, but I'm not going to." Like, unless you can tell me without a shadow of the doubt that it will be 100% better than what I'm doing. If my way is working, okay.
Yeah.
But if you present to me a better way of doing it and you're not an asshole about it, I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna listen to you. Yeah. I think that's maybe something that I dislike about the home theater community is there is a lot of elitism within it. And like sorry, I heard a knock at the door and it's the cat scratching on the door. For all intents and purposes, it's the 99% of the people out there are just super awesome. Like you guys, like, you know, like, yeah, occasionally we get people in the comments that we have to like ban or whatever, but for the most part, everybody's super awesome. And I think this isn't like an inclusive, like, or not, I don't know, inclusive. It's not an elite club, you know, everybody should be able to like come in and have some fun, you know? Yeah. Online forums, Reddit is probably one of the worst because anybody can have a Reddit account, you know?
Yeah.
And the problem with Reddit is there's so much wrong information on Reddit that it's hard to parse the right information because, yeah. Whereas like AVS, for instance, I used to frequent AVS all the time, but over the years, it's kind of like I've kind of weeded myself out of that kind of group because I didn't like the way people treated other people. And I'm not about that. Like, you know, and there are like, you know, there's elitism in every thing, right? But I think with any type of hobby or whatever, you always have people that are just kind of gonna be an asshole. You know, they think they know everything, and they don't. But for whatever reason, yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, when I make a video saying I don't really like the NVIDIA Shield TV Pro, and then people get weird about it, and I'm just like, well, I don't like it. I'm not saying don't use it. I wouldn't recommend it to people for whatever reasons I have, but you know,
preference.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Thank you guys for coming to my TED Talk. I feel like I'm on my soapbox now, but yeah, no, I think like yeah, I that's what I kind of love is when you get people in this hobby that you can really like relate to, and they're also cool, and they're not like. I hope anybody that watches my videos, like, I hope they take away from it is like, well, I can actually like calibrate my own system and stuff. That's what I want to instill in you is that confidence.
Yeah, exactly.
And also have fun with it. Cause like, that's the whole, like, if you're not having fun with any of this, then why are you here? Right. Why are you into home theater? It's like,
because I want to torture myself.
Right. I built this home theater to only look at it. I don't actually like any movies. Okay.
Just to say I did it.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, it's your prerogative to do whatever you want with your money.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll kind of work something out there, and
Yeah, that'd be cool to have that live stream.
yeah.
But yeah, don't forget, next week we'll be kind of live, but it will be pre-recorded, live in the comments.
kind of live.
Yeah. It'll
I
be
was
a
kinda live.
premiere in a world.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll jump in and answer some comments and stuff. I don't know exactly how StreamYard you did, Mike. You made
Thanks,
it just
Mike.
as
Just
just
as
as we're ending,
wrapping up.
wrapping the live stream up. But yeah, we will be here next week, like Elon said. I will probably be in chat the whole time for the pre-record. And Elon may have to bounce out. But yeah. Awesome.
Bounce.
Bounce. But yeah, do you have any closing thoughts, concerns?
Just do whatever you want. Just do whatever makes you happy. Subscribe to whatever streaming platform and music streaming service you want that gives you the experience you want, that gives you the formats you want, that gives you the user interface you're comfortable with. Whatever. I don't think any of them are superior to any other one, except for Spotify not having lossless. That's still kind of weird. But I get it. I mean, it's like Spotify is like their own social media platform, basically.
Yep.
That people curate playlists and share with each other and talk to each other and whatever. So yeah, I get it. It's a place to hang. But yeah, just you do you.
Yep.
And that's okay. And you should be okay with it.
You should be, and you should make up your own mind and don't go off what other people say, you know? Like
Yeah.
we're in a day and age. We're in a day and age where everybody on social media has an opinion, and we're here on social media with our opinions.
Right.
You know, these are all opinions, guys. We can use data to back up actual like facts. It's like, okay, cool. Like, but at the end of the day, it's like, okay, but that's not gonna suddenly make Tidal have a better user experience, you know?
Right.
But again, go with what you guys like. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. Have fun. That's the most important thing. If you're not having fun in any hobby you're doing, don't do it. Just stop. Like,
It's not a hobby, right?
yeah. I mean, I understand like not having fun at your job sometimes because you know, but you got to eat, you got to make money. So if it's a hobby that you use to blow off steam or enjoy, then it's kind of like I don't finish games sometimes when I get bored of them. If I'm not having fun, I'm not gonna play them. Like,
yeah,
this is gonna like make me not like the game even more if I continue playing it. Anyway,
you're an adult. You can stop playing it.
I know. I'll just Google the ending. I don't care. Like I'll YouTube the ending. See what happens. But anyway, well, we will catch you guys not live next week on our pre-record Halloween special thing. It's not a special. We're not going to be maybe we should be in makeup.
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to work on my Uncle Fester costume. Got to shave my eyebrows. No. Yeah, we'll figure something out. And yeah, look for that. Be next Thursday as well. So Halloween.
Yeah. Next Thursday.
Yeah. Thank you for joining everybody, and we will catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the bell and get notifications. Don't forget to subscribe.